Welcome back to 94 Feet, ladies and gentlemen. Kade Cameron, Danny Stipanovich, as usual. Danny, I will say, I think it's going to be a little hard to top what happened on Wednesday, but we're finally back. We're finally kind of getting back in the swing of things with these regular shows. But man, how's it been going with you, Danny? How's your weekend?
Hey, kid, I don't know about you, but Thursday, my voice was a little scratchy. I mean, talking for 2 hours, we were kind of yelling towards the end of the show, but Wednesday was a great day. Did you lose your voice like me?
I mean, I think it was a little scratchy by Thursday, but I was a little tired. But that was about it.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
hey,
it
shout out
was
to
good
whoever
though.
came out and tuned in. I think we had total 300 something viewers tuned into the Twitter broadcast. So shout out to everyone that showed love. We really appreciate it. We had a great time just
Oh,
talking
100%.
basketball, drinking some beer live on the broadcast. You really don't get much better than that.
Exactly. It was a fantastic time. Of course, obviously, a huge thank you again to the crew over at Blaze Radio. Mallory did a fantastic job helping set that up. Same thing with Susan. All of them, fantastic job making that happen and giving us that opportunity to do that and actually put something together in front of a live audience. Great time. Like I said, it's always hard to beat something like that, but of course, got to get back into the swing of things. So, obviously, 2 hours on Wednesday. We don't really have too much to talk about today. We are going to get into some of the stuff we intended to talk about on Wednesday. We do want to talk about that LeBron talk, seeing about where he's going to be ranking by possibly the end of this week when it comes to that NBA all-time leading scorer, that leaderboard. Obviously, Danny's got some words to say about the Lakers and some of those NBA officials. Pat Bev had something to say that night as well, but we'll also get to that a little bit later. We'll get back to Fit of the Week, something we haven't done in a while. And then, of course, we'll finish it off with something a little different with the introduction of the Jaw Ones and the Nike lineup. We've got to talk about some of the best signature shoes that Nike and other big companies have dropped over the past year. So we've got a good show still ahead of us. Danny, let's get into the big discussion here first. Obviously, LeBron James, 117 points away from passing Kareem on that all-time scoring list. Like I said, I want to talk about it Wednesday. We got Nick on. We were talking college basketball for a little bit. You're talking about your UCLA Bruins. But first off, we got to go into the big question. When do you think this is going to happen for somebody like LeBron? When do you think he's going to pass this, get this number one overall spot?
So yeah, I know. I changed the topic when we had Nick on. I got a little excited about my Bruins, but I did say I think he's gonna break it the ninth against the Bucks. But after he puts up 41, the other night against the Celtics, how much did he have against the Spurs? I just had that in front of me.
Okay, he had
He only had
41. Or
yeah,
against the Spurs. My bad, not the Spurs.
Spurs 20 and then
Mm-hmm.
41 against the Celtics. He's gonna sit out tomorrow against the Nets. As far as I know, so. It's looking like he's going to break it at home against the Thunder February 7th.
Yeah, it's coming up. So you're saying next Tuesday?
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking at this real quick. I think like I said, he's at 117 points away. So I mean, you're talking seeing how well or how good of a player LeBron is. That's something he can do in 3 games. I think he plays Tuesday, Wednesday, and I think Saturday this week. So you're talking about the possibility of at least. I mean, we know what's going to happen. I think at least, let me put it from my perspective. I thought this was something that might happen by the end of the season. Wasn't sure it was going to happen as early on in the season as it has been. Now we're talking about the possibility of this happening not only before the All-Star break, but before the trade deadline too. It's coming up quick, and it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how. I mean, just when this happens, we all see it coming. It's going to happen. What does this mean, though, for just the history of the NBA? I mean, we've talked about a little bit on the past, this GOAT talk with LeBron. You got to make the argument that this strengthens that argument a lot, you know?
I don't know if it strengthens it too much. The thing that you can say is LeBron, he's going to play in about 150 less games than Kareem, and he's going to play in about 5,000-ish, give or take, less minutes than Kareem did. But like the argument for Kareem, it's he couldn't shoot the 3 ball. I think he only made like 1 3 his entire career. Kareem also went to college. LeBron, 19 years old, I believe, right out of high school. Whereas Kareem spent 3 years at UCLA. So I don't know if it strengthens the GOAT conversation too much.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I don't know. I look at this and I think you're right. I don't think it really strengthens it that much, but you've you've got to take into consideration, at least this is my opinion on this, you've got to take into consideration the fact that now you're talking about a guy that was the number, or obviously in the discussion already, but this is almost like a massive cement block when it comes to that go talk in general. Like this is gonna be a record that he's gonna break, and he's not gonna break it by a few points. You know what I mean? He's gonna break this, and he's gonna add on to it by, I would say at least 1,000. Don't you think?
Yeah, no, that's fair to say. It looks like he has, knock on wood, bearing like a major injury. Somehow it looks like he has 3 more years. Like, but if he really wants to, he could probably play for 5 more. Kate, isn't that crazy to say? Like,
Yeah,
you know how Vince Carter at the end of his career is just bounces around. Paul Pierce did this, bounces around team 1-year contracts. Eventually LeBron is going to get there, right? Like, eventually that's going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah, or I don't know. I can't say it's necessarily that he's going to bounce around with 1-year contracts. I do think there will come a time where it's going to be shortened contracts. It's going to be contracts that's not going to bring him in because of his playing style or his playing ability, but just the fact that it's the selling factor for a team, that you're bringing in a guy that has a lot of experience, has leadership and whatnot, but isn't necessarily going to be putting up points, going to be scoring, or at least on a consistent basis, isn't going to be scoring. So I think it's easy to say 3 years where he's going to be able to put up decent stats. 5 years when you're talking about 2 years where he's going to go to a team, pretty much, in my opinion, wherever Bronny goes, just trying to get something going on where bringing in fans, bringing in energy for a team, possibly bringing in different players who maybe want to play for that team. And yeah, real quick, I will say this as well. As you mentioned, he might not play against the Nets, but this week he still has the Knicks, he still has the Pacers, and still has the Pelicans. So you're talking he could have an off night, and there's a chance that he can get it this weekend.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't be surprised. One more thing about LeBron. I mean, the fact that since when he was 19 all the way until 34, he went pretty much every year playing about 70 games. The lowest in that span was 62. And then when he was at that first year in the Lakers, I forgot what it was. It might have been his groin, where he missed the end of that season, only playing 55. And since then, he's been in, off and on injury prone-ish. 45 games 2 seasons ago, 56 last season. But man, for him to just endure his entire career, going to the playoffs every year for the most part, playing all these games, staying healthy, it's really so impressive. So I wanted to bring up this question, Kade. Do you think LeBron, this record is going to be unbreakable?
Ooh, I don't know. So I think I think I'll go with this. Yes, I think it's going to be unbreakable until the NBA makes a rule that lets players come out of high school like they used to. I don't think you're going to see it happen in a long time. I don't think that this is going to be a situation where you can see LeBron having this record broken by somebody else other than LeBron James anytime soon, 30, 40 years down the road, 50 years possibly. The rule itself would have to change, that you would have to limit the time in which players come out of and come and play in the NBA. It goes back to the record where you can go right out of high school, go into the NBA. I think you can make the argument there that yes, that's a record that can be broken, but that's going to be a tough record to break. So I'm leaning to the side of no, but it's not impossible.
Okay,
especially real quick, especially with the way that the NBA has been progressing. I mean, we've seen so many more high-scoring games, so many more players that are just going to go out there and get a bucket no matter what. I think, again, you're going to have to see that rule change to where you can come straight out of high school like the NBA used to do. If that rule does change, then I think, yes, I think that record can be broken. I just don't see it happening. Honestly, I could see it, the NBA being disbanded by the time that record has an opportunity of happening. So
I'll throw out one name, and I don't think it's going to happen, but there's a chance. This is the guy who I think has the best chance of breaking that record, and it's a guy that came into the league a couple years ago at 19, Luka Doncic. Only thing with him is he's only played over 66, or he's only played over 72 games once, just his rookie year so far in his career. 72 games rookie year, then 61 played, 66 played, 65. So he's really not playing enough games to break the record. But if there is someone that can do it, I think it's Luka. And I'm throwing this out there. If he plays 65 games for the next 13 seasons and he averages 30 points per game, he's averaging 30 a game, 33 this season. Is that reasonable, Kate? For the next 13 years until he's 36, he'll average 30 a game in 65 games played. Is that a fair?
I think, I don't know. I think
Okay.
if Luka continues to play the way he has been, I think I just don't see him having the longevity LeBron has. I think LeBron in himself is a specimen. You don't really get players like that often. You mentioned with Luka already that he's missing consistent games every season. It's hard to say with confidence that Luka's going to be able to break that record. Is Luka going to end up on that top 10? Depending how long he decides to stay in the league, I think 100%. And I think Luka plans on staying in the league for a long time. I just don't see it being a situation where he's going to be able to pass LeBron just in this situation. You know what? I can't see him passing LeBron.
Yeah, I don't either. But I will just say 65 games played, 30 points per game, next 13 years. That puts him at 33,797 points. That's fourth on the list, over Kobe Bryant. So I will say I think it's doable for Luka to do this, especially since we're seeing LeBron now average what is it, 30.3 points per game at age 38 right now. He's pushing 40, averaging 30 a game. Luka, a much better shooter than LeBron. So, maybe that puts him at an advantage, although Luka doesn't have, the six-pack abs, the huge biceps. I don't know if his body will be able to sustain that type of, scoring for that long. But I think Luka has the best chance at beating the record.
Right now, yes. I think Luka does have the best chance. I don't think it happens again until we see a rule change in the NBA that allows players to come out of college or come straight out of high school. Even then, you might see a situation where you have like a LaMelo Ball situation where you see a player go overseas or into the G League, and if they're 18, just go straight from there into the NBA and doing something like that. That's the only other way I could see it happening. Luka is, I think you're right. I think as of now, and what we're seeing today's league, Luka is going to be that best bet for somebody who can break that record. It's not going to be him. I can't see it happening. I think that's impossible for somebody like Luka to do. He's going to be one of the top players in NBA history, but it's not going to be a record-breaking player in that sense.
Yeah, LeBron, like we said, he probably has another 5 years, so he's just going to keep adding to that point total.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and that's the thing too, is that like if we're talking LeBron finishes this season, retires and whatnot, I think there's a little bit more of a justification to be like, yeah, Luka has an opportunity to beat that if he stays healthy, if he's able to do good, all that stuff. That's not the case though. LeBron's going to continue playing at most 5 years. I think it's easy to say that. I think he's going to have his point total go over 40,000, which is going to be an absolutely ridiculous thing to think about, just knowing that we have a player in NBA history that's scored over 40,000 points in their career. In my opinion, I think that's just the way to go about it. I think it's going to be very, very difficult to see this happen anytime soon. And of course, you got to think, I mean, you look at the NFL, Tom Brady's 45, 46, and he's still playing. Not really great, but he played an elite level of football up until last year. I can't name anybody out of hockey that's done anything like that. There probably is. I just can't think of anybody. Baseball, a little bit of a different sport just because it's not as necessarily strenuous on the joints and whatnot. It is something like basketball or football, but you have players, again, going into their mid-40s almost playing baseball. We're getting to a point where I think in time with where things are progressing, you're going to see players when they start off younger going to have a much longer career if they truly commit to the sport. So I think it's a very genuine possibility of somebody having the opportunity to beat LeBron. It's just a matter of when it happens, and I don't think that's anytime soon.
Is it time for me to rant about the Lakers, Kade?
Let's hear it. I was going to say, I saw some parts of it obviously on Twitter, so I might have to let you kind of go off on it, but it was an interesting thing that happened. That's all I'll say.
This was not interesting. This was highway robbery. I know you saw the foul. I'm sure viewers saw the foul. That's what it was. The NBA referees Twitter just put out a statement earlier this morning. This is what this says. It says, like everyone else, referees make mistakes. We made one at the end of last night's game that is gut-wrenching for us. The play will weigh heavily and cause sleepless nights as we strive to be the best referees we can be. Tell me that doesn't sound sarcastic. I don't know what's going on right now, but the NBA has a huge problem with these referees because this is blatant misses. I mean, it doesn't get more clear than Jason Tatum smacking LeBron on a game-winning layup. And they put out a joke of a statement like this. There's no, this isn't a problem in FIBA. So I don't know what the NBA has to do. I don't have an answer for it, but I don't know if these guys need to get their vision checked. But I can point out 4 losses that the refs stole from the Lakers just in this month. Earlier this month, LeBron at the end of the overtime loss in Dallas gets fouled. The NBA put out, their 2-minute report that he got fouled. He should have had a chance to win the game. They ended up losing double overtime against the Kings earlier this month. None was fouled on a 3-pointer when they were down 4 with 10 seconds left, and they didn't call it. And they ended up losing because they had to foul the Kings. And then another game earlier this month, Westbrook is fouled to the rim when he's trying to drive on Joel Embiid. So this is blatant robbery. LeBron, 6 free throws. JT and JB last night combined for 23. I don't know what it is, but LeBron, he's not getting the calls. It's disrespectful. I know I just threw a lot out there, Kade.
Yeah, no. So I think I was gonna say, I just take a look at the video. It's tough because I feel like the NBA in general has had the most like issues trying to figure out what exactly is going on with refs. You know what I mean? Like, obviously every sport has bad officiating in some cases and whatnot, but I feel like in the NBA you see the most blatant stuff, you see the most obvious stuff, and you kind of just look at it like, what are we looking at? Like, what's going on? Like, the one thing I'll go back to is and this is just one thing that it's not really related in this situation, but it just shows you like the idea that I feel like refereeing in the NBA is on a ref to ref basis. So back during the 2021 Western Conference Finals, Suns Clippers, there's a point, I think it was in game 2, was that one game where DeAndre Ayton had the buzzer beater, but it was a call where I think if I want to say it correctly, Suns had the ball. Pat Bev picked it out of Torrey Craig's hands, went out of bounds. NBA rule has it that even in this situation like that, if the ball was last touched by Torrey Craig, as long as it didn't go off his arm or something like that, the ball is going to go to the ball is going to be ruled out on whoever forces the ball out of bounds. So in that case, it would have been an out on Patrick Beverley. It should have kept with Suns ball, but of course they go to the replay review. They look at it. Even though it was poked out by Pat Bev, it rolled off the finger. It was just last touched by the finger, the dribbling hand of Torrey Craig. They ruled that Clippers ball. It just you're in a situation where obviously you want to be able to make both teams happy and whatnot, but that's not the case. You just have to call what's the right call. In a situation like this, obviously completely different where you're talking about a game-winning layup, but it's amazing how you look at something like that. And first off, you talk about the statement that the Referees Association, whatever they call themselves, they put out there. Nobody wants to see that. Obviously, that was pretty much them admitting that they made a mistake and whatnot. But who cares if that happened? Who cares if you're admitting that you're had a mistake if there's nothing to be done about the way the outcome of that game turned out? So it's ridiculous to see how this happens pretty consistently, especially in a league like the NBA. There's jokes about it consistently. I mean, the fact that Scott Foster is called the whatever his name is, whatever the nickname he got, because the NBA will quote unquote send him in whenever a game, or the extender. That's right, the extender whenever a series needs to be extended or whatnot. It's really weird to see how consistently there and just how many bad calls you see in the NBA, and what has to happen to see those calls change.
I don't know what it is, but it's been really bad this season. I don't know what's going on this season. You mentioned the game last year, but I feel like this season it's been the worst. I know Bulls fans that have been complaining about referees late in games all season long. Now it's Laker fans. So I don't really have I don't know if there's a solution. It's just something we're gonna have to deal with. But going back to the game, Kate, I'm almost done with Darvin Ham already. I'm almost done. Can we? Do you want to keep talking about this refs, or can we get into the Patrick Beverly thing?
Real quick, all I'll say about the refs is just the fact
Mm-hmm.
that I think there needs to be more accountability.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything that's
Anthony
happening.
Davis, after the game, he said referees should start getting fined.
Oh, 100%. I think that's without a question. I know, obviously, we know that refs aren't being paid the same level that NBA players are getting paid, but with that, at the same time, like you're talking about a call that could genuinely make the difference of a team season and whatnot, a call that can make the difference of somebody's career. I think 100% refs need to be held more accountable, whether that's getting fined, whether that's whatever they decide to suspend. I don't care what it is. I hate how consistently, and this is how it always comes out. I hate how the NBA, NFL, whatever league it is, but specifically more the NBA, something will happen. They'll come out being like, yeah, we made the mistake. But then next game, you see the ref making the same mistake. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, why are we talked about this. I'm happy that you made the announcement that you had a mistake. Why don't we fix it and hold these refs accountable instead of trying to figure out exactly I feel like refs. Okay, another real quick thing. I think refs have a little bit too much power too, because again, it goes back to saying that you look at the way the technicals are given out. You look at the way that fouls in general are given out. You look at the way that you see suspensions, all that stuff. Refs have a little bit too much of a say in it. How come a ref can kind of talk back to a coach, but right when a coach talks back, you get teed up? Like that makes absolutely no sense to me.
Unbelievable.
No, I agree. I think. Again, I don't know if it should be a fine. I think that's the easiest way to do it. But there needs to be some form of accountability held against referees. It doesn't matter if it's the NFL, NBA, anything like that. Accountability is what's needed. Stop just coming out and apologizing. Do something about it, because it obviously nothing's being done, seeing the way that refereeing hasn't changed much, it feels like, over the past few years.
You brought up the technical fouls issue. That the past 3 seasons, I feel what it looks like from me, it's like these refs want to make the game about them. The refs are kind of making the game like they want to be involved with the game with these technical fouls. I think it was last week. I want to someone on the Pacers. I want to say it was Benedict Mathurin. He got teed up for like celebrating and yelling, and the ref thought he was yelling at him. He didn't cuss or anything. He got teed up. And I don't know if it's because the NBA, the court is way smaller than an NFL field, and the refs are right there. You see them, they kind of look like a player. You see their faces. Whereas in the NFL, these guys have hats on. There's so many refs. And I don't know what the ego is with NBA referees, but for them to give out technicals like it's nothing, it kind of stops the game. It kind of stops basketball from running smoothly, and it becomes it also takes away the passion from it too.
Exactly. No, I agree, because it's like, and a lot of, as you mentioned with the Ben Mathurin thing, where he's celebrating and he gets a technical. There's been times, I think it was even earlier this season, where I want to say it was maybe Draymond talking to Jordan Poole or one of his other teammates. I forgot exactly what it was. Yeah, you remember that. Talking to his teammate, yelling at his teammate, and Draymond gets attacked. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, you're talking about players not even being able to talk to their own teammates without getting a technical foul. You're talking about coaches not being able to voice their opinion without getting a technical foul. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand that technical fouls are necessary in some aspects of the game, but I feel like you can go into any game now and see a technical foul just because the coach was upset about a call that probably was the incorrect call in the first place. Like, it's ridiculous in my opinion. It's absolutely ridiculous. Again, the ego that I feel like NBA refs have, the lack of transparency and accountability, it's a bad look overall.
100%.
All right, you want to hit that Pat Bev situation at the game?
Yeah, so at the end of the game, everyone knows it was a clear foul. I think the refs know they screwed up this call. Patrick Beverly, I don't know who gave him this camera. Kate, I'm putting the blame on Darvin Ham. I know it's funny. I know it's like a joke, but the fact that he has a player, Patrick Beverly, a veteran, going up to the ref with a camera showing them a missed call, I think that I know it was funny, and LeBron is crying on the floor, but why is Darvin Ham not screaming at his team to lock in? He has to know that Patrick Beverley, some assistant coach had to have known that Beverley was doing something, looking for a camera. They're up uh or it was he got teed up for that, and then they're down 1 point heading into overtime. Every point matters in overtime, and I'm putting the blame on Darvin Ham. Like I said, going back into the game, Patrick Beverley up to 104 to 102. He gets fouled and misses a free throw. If he makes both free throws, that would have put the score 106, 102, two-possession game. How about he's taking pictures of free throw forms or something, so we're not in that position, and we just win the game, and we don't have to bank on LeBron saving us or the refs missing a call. How come Darvin Ham's not working the refs every single time LeBron's driving into the paint? How come Darvin Ham's not yelling at Russell Westbrook, who's laughing at the end of the game, heading into the locker room, joking around? Okay, I'm putting this on Darvin Ham. I know it's a joke and everything, but I think that really costs us.
No, I could see that, definitely. I feel like this is part of the reason why we haven't seen a consistent coach around LeBron over the past few seasons. I feel like it's very hard for somebody like Darvin Ham, who's in his first year, to really go out there and like hype up this team the way that, like, obviously, of course, like make sure there's what's the word for just that discipline and whatnot. But how can you discipline a team that's made up of veterans the way it is? Like everybody's going to be running their own thing. Darvin Ham isn't going to get any type of message across that isn't going to get past LeBron and whatnot, and Pat Bev and Westbrook and Davis. Like there's no way that they're going to be able to really get that to work out in a way that, or he's not going to be able to get it to work out in a way. What am I trying to say? He's not going to be able to get that to work out in a way that everybody listens, that team listens, that team actually bonds around him, especially in the first year head coach. It's just very difficult to make that happen. While at the same time, I hate to say it, it's the NBA. I feel like unless you're a very well-respected, well-known coach who's going to be a player's coach, it's the team has to find discipline in itself before a coach is going to be able to discipline his team. This Lakers team is consistently being updated and whatnot, that Darvin Ham can't do too much to really keep up with what's going on. I don't know. I definitely get what you're trying to say, but I don't know.
Maybe I'm not asking for discipline, but I'm asking at the end of overtime, Ham sends his assistant to talk to the ref, and he gathers his team around and just tries to rally them together. He needs to make the adjustments quickly. And what are his adjustments? Russell Westbrook sits the entire fourth quarter. He starts the game 0 for 6. His first few points were all free throws. He sits the entire fourth quarter. He's ice cold, and then he starts in overtime. I know he had a good start to overtime. I think he made 4 free throws to open it, and then he misses a wide open 3, misses a reverse layup. I know I talked about this into the earlier in the week on my Wednesday show. Russell Westbrook ranked 352 out of 402 players in crunch time. This is the second highest paid player in the league. He's 8th in the league in turnovers per game, despite only playing 28 minutes per game. This dude is a liability. Ham continues to put him out there late in games. I thought something was going good when I didn't see Russell check into the game in that fourth quarter, and then he comes back in overtime. So I really don't get what we're doing. And I get what you're saying, how Ham is a first-year head coach. It's going to be tough for him to rally a team with a bunch of veterans. But Ham is a young dude. I think players can easily relate. Like he's young compared to other coaches. He is relatable, and he can connect with an older team because he's not that far off from their age.
Yeah, exactly. Real quick, I'll give Golden Ace 154 some love. Danny, I'll let you give you an opportunity to read that. But just in general, I think, I don't know. It's, again, very difficult to really get under the fact that you're right, more young in age and whatnot, just being able to really kind of relate with them. But at the same, like, you're talking about a team that has LeBron James, a guy that we already talked about having the opportunity to really become a scoring leader, the number 1 scoring leader in NBA history. You're talking about a team that is built around just the veteran leadership, the discipline, all that stuff. And I mean, you look at the team in general, I feel like you look at some of the players that have been on previous teams. I mean, they haven't been really well-disciplined players. You look at Russell Westbrook, you look at Pat Bev, you can make the argument that Anthony Davis, when he actually became one of the top players in the league, kind of lost that discipline just in general as a teammate and whatnot. LeBron's obviously going to be LeBron. So I don't know. It's a really, it's the Lakers' position as a head coach. It's a very tough one to take up on, you know?
Hey, I'll hop in. I'll respond to Golden Ace. Oh no, I definitely. I'm a big Pat Bev fan. I've liked him since he was on the Clippers. His effort on a night to night basis is something that we just don't see in the NBA anymore. Yeah, high intensity effort. He says. Plus, yeah, three. I think 4 3-pointers for Bev last night. That might have been a season high. Yeah, his effort. I was just upset that he kind of made the show about him. Like, what are we doing? Showing a ref a camera, that's what I was upset. I wasn't upset with how he played. I was just upset that missed free throw and the camera at the end.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, 15 points, 4 for 7 on threes. I think I understand where he's coming from because I think everybody's probably has wanted to do that. No matter if it's in an intramural game, if it's in a college game, no matter what. Like if there's cameras around, people are going to want to show. And I mean, that's part of the reason why they have video replay. But it's so hard for them to. It's just so hard to think that okay, now that we have video replay in the NBA, go use that. Now in a situation like this, when you're talking about just a big time situation, like why are we not? I don't know. It's again, it comes. I think this all comes back to officiating in just the sense that it's very difficult to feel trustworthy about NBA officiating in today's age of NBA basketball.
Well, another thing I'll say, hey, Lonnie Walker looked great last night. Hit 6 for 8 from the field, 1 for 3 from deep, 13 points. Maybe we're gonna see more Lonnie Walker, less Russell Westbrook. I would love to see that. We're still waiting on the trade deadline. This team could look completely different in a couple weeks from now. But I think that's all I got to say about the Lakers. Kade, you got anything else?
No, that's it for me. It's going to be an interesting end to this trade deadline whenever that ends up coming around. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great next few weeks. Danny, do you want to go into fit of the week?
Let's do it.
All right. Let me get this set up real quick. All right. I had to use the shows account to show you since I still don't have Instagram, unfortunately. But so I'm going with somebody that I feel like we have not given. I mean, we actually even talked about him as the hot or not, hot or not. Hot or not. A few months back, but I'm going with James Harden. I think he's actually stepping up his style, which I'm kind of surprised about. The all baby blue, can't go wrong with that color. I love it. It's a little bit overpowering here, but I feel like Harden does it pretty well. I'll show the camera. If you can see that, you get the reflection there a little bit, but something I can't disagree with that. I think that's got to be my fit of the week. First time we've done fit of the week over the in a while, it feels like.
Yeah, seriously. I don't even know my record. I think it's 2-6. I'm going with D-Book. D-Book, kind of an underrated style in the league, Kade. He's always had just sleek, clean looks. He's got the Dickies work jacket up top, jeans, Air Force Ones, beanie. It's still beanie season. I picked this fit because it's something I kind of want to recreate my own way. So that's who I'm going with. One of the most underrated fashion, I would say influencers in the NBA. What I don't know what the right word is.
I agree. I think with this style, it's really cool about it. What I prefer a lot about it is the fact that it's very simple, but it's also very doable for anybody, and it's also very well put together. Like you can tell that he's not just throwing on something that's just he's not just putting basic stuff. You can tell he's thinking his outfits out. With when it comes to the shoes, the pants, all that stuff. Like he's thinking that stuff out. He's trying to tell a story in a different way than a lot of these other NBA players are going with. I think he's trying to tell more of it feels like almost like a blue collar story, if that makes any sense. And I mean, I think last year was when he won League Fits MVP. So, I mean, definitely one of the more underrated styles. It's something that
he did. Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, his style. So that's another thing about his style. It's very simple, yet it's also very elaborate in the sense that there's not really much going on with the outfit itself, but you look at the pieces and the way that you put them together. There's no way that he's going to be able to work that shirt with any other pair of pants. It feels like that he owns. So really cool the way he does it. As usual, hit our Instagram and Twitter at 94 Feet Show. And then also, Danny, I think I'm going to put out a poll this week about what the punishment should be by the time the season comes to an end. So I want to get, or not a poll, but at least get some, put a tweet out there, get some ideas of what we can do as a punishment and see what you'll be doing by the end of the season.
I need to go on a crazy 2016 Cavs run.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Danny, I like the idea for I mean, I got to credit you for the idea for this last segment of the show. But as mentioned at the top of the show, John Morant, I mean, we've got an idea of what his new sneakers looking like. It's going to be an interesting way that that shoe impacts the market when that first comes out, especially the way that hoopers are going to be, how it's going to transform hooping lifestyle for a lot of us people just going to pick up games and all that stuff. But of course, I mean, Dan, do we want to go into just that shoe first and then talk about our top 5 best first signature shoes?
His shoe is on my list, so I don't know if it's on your list. So we can wait until one of us brings it up. Up to you.
Okay, I'll say let's wait for one of us to bring it up. Then, I'll it's not on my list, but I'll just say, I mean, obviously since it's not on my list, I can now talk about it a little bit. It gives
Okay.
me the same kind of vibe as the LeBron. We're on the LeBron 20. It gives me the same type of vibe as like a LeBron 20 low, kind of same silhouette, same outlet. I think it's a really good looking first signature shoe. Something simple. It's nothing too out there crazy, but I think it's a shoe that also you look at a little bit has a lot of inspiration from what looks like one of the Kobe 6 silhouettes out there. So I think I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how this shoe performs on court. From it comes just a typical everyday hooper standpoint. But I want to see what you have to say about it. So Danny, I'll actually let you go first. What's number 5 for you on that list?
Number 5 coming in for me. I'll throw out some honorable mentions first. And I want to know if these would count or not. The Omni ones, Kade, they're not Kawhi's signature shoe, but they were like the first shoe he dropped with New Balance, so I didn't throw that on the list. And the Kobe Pro Trail ones would definitely be on this list, but those technically weren't his signature shoe, so I'm not going to put them on the list. But those are honorable mentions. I'm also throwing out the Air Jordan 1. I know it's his first signature, but if we're kind of doing performance, right? So I don't know if we're counting that.
I'll say I'm not gonna lie. I may have put the Jordan 1 on my top 5, but I might
Okay,
change
so
it
I
real
didn't.
quick.
Well, that would obviously be one, but I didn't. So number 5 for me, I got Harden Volume Ones. Um, it was like the first. I don't fact check me on this, but I want to say it's the first basketball performance shoe with Boost in it. I had the Volume Twos, and I think I like the Volume Ones way more. Harden, I wasn't that big of a fan of the bottoms. They kind of got the cage, weird bottoms on, but it's a clean shoe, low cut, kind of tough to break in. My volume twos were tough, but I got the Hardens as number 5 for me.
All right. I like that. So for some of my honorable mentions, I had the Giannis ones up there, the Freak ones, I should say. I thought those were a really good shoe when those first dropped. A lot of people really big fans of them. Um, I gotta put the Zion ones up there. I know they haven't gotten a lot of love, but I think the concept and the idea of them is a really interesting. It's really cool to me.
Z,
Those what? Oh yeah, the Zion. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. But Danny, I agree with you for number 5. I got the Harden ones there too.
cool.
I think when it comes to Adidas shoes and signature shoes, I feel like they just really haven't been able to hit the way that a lot of people were expecting. But I think with the Harden ones, that was the first one that everybody was really hyped with. That was still when Boost was really big. Harden was still one of the top players in the league when he was back with the Rockets. So it was a very hype shoe. I remember getting a pair of them. I ended up making him a bit of an outdoor pair of shoes just because that tough out. It was a very tough outsole,
They're
which made
so
it
tough
good
to
for.
break in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So it just made it a good outside shoe, especially with the like almost like spider web outsole to it. That was
yeah.
just again a little bit different. It did really make it a really great indoor shoe, but when it came to outdoors for me, I really liked it. But overall, I don't know. I think it just kind of brings back good memories when I think about shoe. So I gotta have that on my list somewhere.
Yeah, you mentioned something that I think is very factual, that Adidas kind of they've been missing on their Adidas athletes, but with Harden, they start off hot, way better than I remember when they had Dame and Derrick Rose back in the day. Harden by far had the best signature shoes.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's me. Sorry, Danny. Who's your 4?
Number 4, I got Josh sliding in at number 4. I just think it's a sleek shoe. You can call it a knockoff Kobe. I really like your how you drew similarities to the LeBron 20s. I completely see it, but I mean it's sleek. Air Zoom, I'm guessing, it's going to be really lightweight. It looks very breathable. Like there's almost like a mesh material on the upper. So it looks breathable. I'm excited to, I don't know. I'm not a Jaw fan, but I kind of want to pick these up. So we'll see. These are slotting in at 4 for me.
Yeah, no, I'll admit I kind of wanted to pick those up too. I don't know. I don't know. For me, like whenever a new basketball shoe silhouette comes out, I kind of just want to grab it, try it, see what it's like. I probably wouldn't even hoop in them that much, but just the fact that I just want to try something new, something a little bit different. Uh, I'm a fan of it. I like I said, I think it draws similarities to those Kobe 6 silhouettes, a little bit of that LeBron 20. I think it's overall, again, I think a lot of it comes down to how lightweight it is. And then also because I mean you see the material, it's not anything like prime there or whatnot, but I think that's the idea they were going for, especially in a first signature shoe. Uh but then yeah, so there's that going for it, and I also just think the fact that the actual tread on it, whether it's going to be good, a really solid indoor shoe or whatnot. But I think there's a high potential there. I think it would be very interesting to see how that does on court, especially like I said, as typical hoopers and not somebody who's playing in the NBA.
Who you got for 4?
All right, I got to get the name down right, but the Puma MB1, so LaMelo's signature shoe. I'll admit I didn't have that one on the list at first, but I mean, first off, you're talking about just overall clean signature shoe, especially for your number one overall spot. Puma did their job to make sure that LaMelo Ball got his just a great signature shoe down, especially because it's Puma's first signature shoe in a long time. I've heard a lot of great stuff about it. The pricing on it isn't terrible. The colorways that they've come out with are honestly some of the best colorways for a signature shoe in a long time. I feel like Puma's absolutely killing it with that. And just overall, I mean, it's just, I think when you're talking about if you can get your hands on it, if you can get, yeah, if you can get your hands on it, I think it's a great first signature shoe. Good look overall by LaMelo and Puma on that one.
And Puma MB1s, that's my number 3. We'll segue right into it. Like you kind of hit it on the nail, Kade. Just clean colorways. When these first dropped, I think it was just the red blasts that dropped, and I was saying like I don't know, it's just all one color. I didn't really have too much faith in Puma, but then they dropped the Rick and Morty pack, very unique. And then they dropped the what was it? The Buzz City pack, the gray with the Hornets blue.
Oh yeah, no, that was so nice.
And they're just killing the colorways, like you said. The purple shoes that they have, I'm excited to pick up some of these in the future. Only thing is, I don't got any Puma socks. I only got Nike socks and Adidas socks, so I'm gonna have to pick up some Puma socks to match with these shoes. But yeah, no, these are definitely some clean first signatures.
Oh yeah, 100%. So yeah, that's your 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mixed my 3 up a little bit because I kind of want to go with the true signatures. I did have the LeBron. It wasn't really a technical first LeBron. It was the Zoom generation, but like I said, I'm going to throw that one out there since it technically wasn't LeBron's first signature shoe. So I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go with the Paul George ones. I think that was a shoe that got, I think looking back on it now, it's not getting enough recognition, but it was, I mean, I feel like when they first released those, that was again another signature shoe that turned out to be really good. I think just in general, the idea of mixing the laces with the strap over the toe, something that wasn't really utilized as much on passenger shoes. It's something that Paul George really brought back. Overall, just a good looking shoe. It's a comfortable shoe. Some of the collaborations they did, like with PlayStation and whatnot, really brought that shoe out. And I think that's, if it wasn't for this shoe, I mean, I know a lot of Paul George shoes do go to the Nike clearances and whatnot, but at the same in the Nike outlets, but I still feel like that was overall just a really good shoe. And also for the price too, 120, that's nothing too crazy.
Hey, that's my number 2, PG1s. You said what I was gonna say. The thing with the PGs is like performance wise, because I don't know if you ever had these, but I had the all purple pair back in the day, back in high school. Man, these were by far one of my favorite shoes to actually play ball in. Now they're my outdoor shoes, so I still hoop in them somehow. They might have some holes in them, but like you said, the strap over the laces, that was something new. It's clean, and then it was kind of surprising when PG and like you said, a little bit disrespected now. Maybe it's just because Paul George, he hasn't won a ring yet. He's not one of the superstars, but anymore, like he was in Indiana. But PG1, that's my number 2.
I will say, I think it has to do with the fact that he's not really that superstar like he used to be. Also, I feel like the silhouette itself just kind of fell out. By the time they got the fives, I mean, it just didn't really hold that same value in my
Yeah.
opinion. Or what was it? The four, the five, or I think it was the four that had the zip up front, which I think that was like a little bit odd, a little bit different. But I do think that was his last good signature shoe. I'm not sure how the treading was on that, but it wasn't too bad. I think it's that silhouette in general has just fallen off. Um, I'll admit 2 and 1. Like I said, there's already one other one on this list that I feel like just revolutionized the game, and you still see people hooping them. Um, Not sure if I think I have to go number one with that just for legacy. For number 2, and I think this is going to be your number one based off what you're just kind of the ideas that you were giving me. But for my number 2, I'm going with the Kyrie one. I think that's easily one of Nike's best signature sneakers when it comes to first signature sneakers. And I mean, you're talking about obviously Kyrie not a Nike athlete anymore, but I mean the hype around the ones were big, but the twos were big. I mean, everything just for Kyrie. I feel like every one of those signature shoes between 1 and 2 and 3, honestly, we'll throw 4 in there. 1 and 4, those first ones were just so good. It was at such a good time when sneakers were just so big, especially basketball sneakers. I think again, like I said, if I had to choose between all the Kyrie shoes, I think I'd take the twos over the ones. But for a first signature shoe, the Kyrie ones were iconic, to put it simply.
Oh yeah, no, that's my number 1, Kate. I'll get into my number 1. You know me too well. This was like I feel like this was like the first mid top shoe, kind of, maybe, I don't know. Retailed at $110 back in the day. That was really cheap, especially for a first signature. And Kyrie was kind of nailing just all the colorways that were dropping at the time. A couple that stood out to me that I remember: the Brotherhood, paid homage to Duke. I remember that All Star drop. That his All Star drop was fire, especially as a first signature. And then the Black History Month, something that I wish Nike brought back, and I think they did it perfectly for the Kyrie ones. Is they did Nike ID for the Kyrie ones, and I don't see that too much. And now obviously you can do the Air Forces once in a while whenever they have that promo going. But to allow the Nike ID on the Kyrie one, I thought that was pretty cool. So Kyrie ones, performance wise, it was there. I never had a pair, but I have worn them and hooped in them before. But I did have the Kyrie twos. So but yeah, that's my number 1.
All right, I respect that. No, I'm gonna keep this one simple. I gotta go Jordan ones is my number one. I mean, overall iconic. You still see people hooping in them. I mean, I think it's just a shoe in general that has really stood the test of time. I mean, at the time they released, obviously one of the top performance shoes. Technology has obviously changed, but still the fact that people are still hooping in them, I think more so just for the messaging more than the actual performance, but it still says a lot about that shoe itself. I will say real quick with the time the Kyrie ones and the Kyrie twos came out, that span of time with sneakers and Nike and whatnot, that felt like the golden age of Nike. Like that genuinely felt like the best time to get into Nike stuff and whatnot. Like everything about it was just so fun. Like, I mean, those were like the times where like I'd be in like class on my phone, literally just making basketball shoes. Like it was. I wish I could go back to how nice that time was. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, seriously, the best time I was always customizing Air Force Ones, making the craziest colorways. I wish I had pictures of what I was cooking up back in the day. They probably look like some doo doo now, but yeah, no,
Oh
best
yeah, I
time for
know.
basketball, because back then, 2014, LeBron's had hype,
Back
KD's were
hey,
on the
that was even
rise.
like even then, that was like when LeBron, like I don't know if maybe it was just for me, but like the LeBron soldiers had a
Hmm.
little bit more of like a statement in
Oh,
basketball, like hooping and whatnot. Not and
I
now
had the
it's that's fell off.
Soldier. I had like the Soldier 13s. I had the 10s. I had a
The
pretty good
tens were
LeBron
nice. I had the
collection. Yeah,
nines.
I might
No, they
have
were
the nines
nice.
actually. Let me. I'm gonna look them up. Soldier 9.
And then even
They had
then
the
going
straps, right?
yeah, yeah. Even
Okay.
going back to the Soldier 10s, like I remember back God, this was also just when the sneakers app was something special too. Like they kind of hyped things up a little bit more then. But I remember with the Soldier 10s, it was the Soldier 10s and the Kyrie 2s during the 2000, I think it was the 2016 NBA Finals, maybe in 2017. Nike released a pack with both of them where I think you had both great, they're gray silhouette, or they're all gray shoes with gold swooshes. They were like Oh my god! I think
Man.
those are probably one of the most beautiful packs of shoes I've seen, and those are two shoes that I feel like do not get any recognition anywhere, like the finals packs. So let me look this up real quick, but
Okay. Yeah, no,
absolutely
I had the
amazing.
so I had the tens, the three straps. That's such a clean shoe, and people don't talk about them like they used to. It's a shame.
I know. I might have to look at trying to get myself a pair myself because, like, I mean, they were, yeah, like, okay, my bad. They're all black. I'm gonna send you a picture, Danny. Like I said, these were easily the nicest. I don't know. These are just so nice. Like again, seeing these on sneakers and whatnot, like they were something special. Let's just put it this way. And the pack they came in, all that. Fantastic pair of shoes. I mean, this was just a special time in sneaker history in general. That's just my opinion.
Especially basketball. Oh yeah, and oh
Oh
these are
yeah.
fire. Wow, the
Yeah,
gold with
exactly.
the
To get in a
finals.
pack
Yeah,
like that. Like I remember
icy
this was like
bottoms.
exactly like they were so nice. This was like the time where like I'd be up late at night too, like watching Jacques Slade, like doing his unboxings and whatnot, like all that stuff. Like I there's yeah, no, this it was just a good time in sneakers and what I that's the reason why I feel like so many people are into sneakers right now is because of that time that really drew people. It was a beautiful time. That's all I can say.
Hey, and shout out to Dalwinder Singh. Cool mustache. Appreciate that, bro.
All
I
right,
just
Danny, you
shaved.
all oh you did? All right. I got you. I got you. You got anything else for today?
Nah, that's it.
All right, I gotta say the same here, guys. Once again, it's kind of hard to beat a Wednesday show when you're sitting in a restaurant doing it in front of a live audience, but we still had a fantastic show here today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. We'll be back next Sunday, and once again, hop on over to social media, vote for fit of the week, or my bad, vote for fit of the week, Instagram, Twitter. We'll try to get something out too to try finishing that or figuring out that punishment since that should be coming up
Kade,
soon.
you look a little sleepy, bro. You
I'm
ready for bed?
exhausted. It's been a long
Really?
day. It's been a long weekend.
Okay.
I'm exhausted, but
Sure.
I'm slurring my words too. I can hear it. But again, once again, we thank you guys so much for tuning in. And of course, we'll see you next Sunday.